Hi, everyone. Meteorologist Bill Rentschler in the 1011 Now streaming studio. Hope everyone is having a nice Wednesday morning. Started off the day with some thunderstorms across much of the state. Again, heard some good claps of thunder last night. Some flashes of lightning woke me up. And again, saw some decent rainfall across the state as well, which is much needed. And we'll get into that here in just a second. First, though, just starting off with a look at how much rain we have picked up. And again, this was basically yesterday evening and then through the overnight hours. And you can see a good chunk of the state at least picked up at least a little bit of something, which is what we like to see. Again, there were some spots in far north central, northwestern Nebraska that really didn't see much. And then in the far southeastern corner of the state, Falls City, Beatrice, Hebron, Fairbury, there was, again, maybe up to a few tenths, or excuse me, a few hundredths to around a quarter of an inch of moisture. But again, most of the coverage area did pick up at least some decent moisture. Officially at the Lincoln Airport, around 4/10 of an inch, but some areas, Holdridge, Omaha, Imperial, and likely in McCook as well, picking up over an inch of moisture with some of those thunderstorms we had moved through last night. So again, some good moisture moving on through. And again, we kind of went from a very wet July, but a lot of that moisture was in the very first few days of the month, and then the very last day of the month to, again, a fairly kind of dry pattern here over the past several weeks. We haven't had too many days that have actually seen measurable moisture. So again, this is good for us. So 39 hundredths at the Lincoln Airport officially. If we zoom in and look at Lincoln and Lancaster County and some of the rainfall totals that we had in and around the city. Again, here at the 1011 studios at 40th and Vine, kind of right there in the middle of the map there, we had 73 hundredths from those storms that moved through this morning. And again, rainfall totals in Lincoln ranging from around a half an inch to around 3/4 of an inch for most locations. The one kind of higher spot was in Harrison Avenue there, kind of in central Lincoln, 92 hundredths at that Tempest location in Lincoln. So again, some decent rainfall in the capital city. Want to pull up this map, though, here. This is going to be the observed rainfall across the state over the course of the last 30 days. And this, you can see, the western third of the state has seen some pretty decent precipitation over the past 30 days, 3 to 4 inches of rainfall. And again, some decent rain in central sections of the state, but you can kind of see across northern and then eastern sections of the state, we've kind of been lacking a little bit in the rainfall. Again, we had the one storm on July 31st that, again, obviously did a tremendous amount of damage with the wind. It also did drop at least a little bit of moisture, especially kind of across the Seward, Saline counties into the northern half of Lancaster, then up towards the Omaha area. And again, outside of that, though, if we didn't have that, we would really be probably struggling in terms of our rainfall over the last 30 days. So that's what we've seen. That's the observed rainfall over the last 30 days. If you then actually look at the departure, this is the percent of normal rainfall over the course of the last 30 days. And you can see across much of the 1011 coverage area, we are below normal, and below normal by a pretty decent margin over the course of the last 31 days. Again, it's just the Panhandle and parts of southwestern Nebraska that have seen above average rainfall over the course of the last 30 days. So again, this will all be reflected in the drought monitor. Again, we'll get a new drought monitor tomorrow. We have seen that drought start to kind of creep back up over the last week or two. So that is something that we're going to continue to keep an eye on. We do have more rain chances in the forecast, though, as we head at least tonight into the overnight hours. And then things, again, there's some low-end chances for moisture that continue to be on the board. But again, I think there's going to be a fairly isolated, not necessarily going to be all that helpful. So if you look at the weather headlines, again, Wednesday morning, the warmer weather is definitely going to return today. Yesterday in Lincoln, we topped out at 80 degrees. That broke our run of 5 days in a row with highs in the 70s, which is something we haven't done for a long, long time, just highs in the 70s. So the warmer weather is going to return today. We've already seen sort of the more humid conditions return, so warm and humid today, but again, pretty typical for mid-August. Again, more storms are going to be possible tonight, and with that, more severe weather is also going to be possible tonight, especially for the southeastern corner of the state. We'll look at the models here in just a second. But then we're looking at fairly seasonal temps and, again, some scattered rain chances in the forecast as we head over the course of the next week. Right now in Lincoln, though, again, just a few minutes past 9 o'clock, temperature is already up to 73, 71 here at the studios, though. That dew point is in the upper 60s with that southeast wind at around 10 miles an hour statewide. Those temperatures are generally in the upper 60s to lower 70s. as we should see temperatures jump back into the 80s and even low 90s for a few spots as we head into Wednesday afternoon. Dew point temperatures, again, are back into the mid and upper 60s, so I definitely call this on the muggy side for most of the state. A little bit drier as you head to the far west into the Panhandle. And again, I really like this graphic, but again, the dew point trend over the last 7 days and what we're expecting as we head through the next 7 days. Again, you can see late last week through the weekend, conditions were really comfortable. The first 2 days of the week this week, we've started to see that dew point again continue to just kind of creep up and up and up, and we're going to stay in that humid to very humid range as we head at least over the next day or two. Things may be improving just a little bit as we head into the upcoming weekend. Winds are generally out of the south and east, but they are fairly light at about 5 to 15 miles an hour, a little bit more of a westerly wind as you head across parts of the Panhandle. Satellite and radar picture, I've set this to the last 6 hours so we can kind of see that line of thunderstorms that push through Lincoln and eastern sections of the state. This did have, again, some severe level thunderstorms with it last night across parts of western and southwestern Nebraska. Grand Island and Hastings did see a severe thunderstorm warning with that line as it moved through the overnight hours, but again, generally weakened below severe limits as it pushed through eastern and southeastern Nebraska. So again, just seeing some decent rainfall with that. But again, if you look at what's happening now, that moisture's generally moved out of the area, some lingering very light rain across the far northeastern sections of the state, but otherwise right now things are fairly quiet. If we punch in here and look at the visible satellite imagery, we can see this again is kind of the regional view, but you can see plenty of cloud cover right now across the state, some low clouds mixed in there as well. If I zoom in and take a closer look just at the state of Nebraska, again, you can see some of those cloud tops, those thunderstorm cloud tops pushing across parts of Missouri, but right now we call it consider it definitely variable cloudiness right now across the state of Nebraska, but again, generally dry early this morning. We zoom out, look at a regional view. Again, you can see that cluster of storms that push through our neck of the woods, currently pushing further into Missouri, and again, some scattered light rain across the Dakotas and parts of northern Nebraska. But otherwise, right now, things are fairly quiet. That will change, though, potentially later today. Zooming out, looking at a national view. Again, overall, things are pretty quiet. Probably the busiest part of the country is, again, the midsection here, again, with some of those thunderstorms across Missouri. Both the storms that we had moved through last night, also some activity there across southern sections of Missouri. So we check out Skycast as we head through most of the day today. Again, I think it's generally going to be dry through the rest of the morning and into the afternoon hours. But as we head towards the late afternoon, early evening, we are expecting another system to push through that is going to bring us additional thunderstorm chances, particularly, again, for the eastern and southeastern sections of the state. And some of these could be strong to severe. So right now, this is a look at 3 o'clock Wednesday afternoon. There could be some scattered, isolated to scattered showers, maybe an isolated rumble of thunder by this time. But again, I expect most areas to likely be dry. But then as we head past 3 o'clock towards the 8 o'clock hour, we can see those thunderstorms developing along a frontal boundary, and that's going to be an extreme southeastern Nebraska, parts of northern Kansas. And again, it's where this boundary is and where these thunderstorms really decide to start to fire up. Again, I feel like a lot of times for us in Lincoln, with these situations, more often than not, I feel like we see these thunderstorms really develop and get going after that boundary is pushed through Lincoln. But again, if you look at kind of what the weather's been for us over the past several months, we've kind of gotten hit hard, and feels like we've been hit hard fairly often. So again, this is one of those days we just kind of need to be on the lookout. But this is likely going to be, again, late afternoon, early evening that we're going to start to see this stuff begin to percolate. So again, that drive home, this is one of those times we'll just have to keep an eye on kind of what things look like on the radar. If we can kind of get those storms to develop east of the area, again, then Lincoln's threat for severe weather tonight is going to be considerably lower. That said, I think for areas east of us, from Omaha down towards Nebraska City, Falls City, I think the threat for severe weather for you guys today is much higher. Again, because I think these storms are going to develop in the area. But again, it's just, again, how far east do they start to develop? So this is 8 o'clock Wednesday evening. Again, could see some pretty heavy thunderstorm activity across the southeastern corner of the state. Again, some of these, like I said, could be strong to severe. Large hail, damaging winds, torrential rain, all going to be possible. Can't rule out the potential for an isolated tornado as well. So that is something we're going to have to keep an eye on as we head through the day today. I think the hail and the wind threat is likely the higher of the three, but there is the threat for some tornadoes. can't rule that out, again, especially across east, central, and southeastern sections of the state. So, again, kind of weather aware today. Could see a watch. Probably, I think more odds are likely that we will see a watch, whether it be a severe thunderstorm watch or a tornado watch at some point today for the eastern sections of the state, southeastern sections of the state, and down across maybe western Iowa and western Missouri as well. So that's 8 o'clock tonight. We go forward in time towards midnight. Again, we can see pretty quickly, though, from 8 o'clock to midnight, those storms then drift off to the east over the river and then again kind of out of our coverage area. So again, by midnight tonight, we still could be seeing maybe some lingering shower thunderstorm activity in extreme eastern and southeastern Nebraska. But I think for the most part, most of our coverage area should have seen that threat for storms pass. So again, I think it is probably a pretty narrow corridor, probably from 6 p.m. this evening to around midnight tonight, that the potential for thunderstorms is there. And so again, that's when I want folks to kind of be aware as to what the weather could be doing out there. As we head past midnight into Thursday morning, again, showers and thunderstorms continue to push off to the east. We should see fairly quiet conditions across the state as we head into the day on Thursday. I think, again, there's a low-end chance, 20, maybe 30%, depending on where you are, to maybe see an isolated, a scattered shower or thunderstorm through the day on your Thursday. There is a marginal risk, so again, we can't rule out one or two of those being on the strong to severe side, but most areas, again, I think on Thursday likely stay dry. And then as we head Thursday into Friday, again, there is just a very low chance, I think, for central Nebraska to, again, see maybe a few isolated to scattered showers, maybe an isolated rumble of thunder, but overall, I think things should be fairly quiet for us. Our best chance for rain and for thunderstorms will be tonight, Wednesday evening into the overnight hours. So the Storm Prediction Center outlook, severe weather outlook for the day today, again, you can see it's across the middle parts of the country. We have that marginal and slight risk for severe weather. That slight risk covering the southeastern sections of the state, as well as northeastern Kansas, northwestern Missouri, and southwestern Iowa. Again, that's where we think the severe potential will be highest today, is in those areas shaded in yellow. Again, the marginal risk, again, an isolated severe storm can't be ruled out. But again, I think it's going to be southeastern parts of the state that have the best chance to see some of those strong storms. On Thursday, again, we have that marginal risk that does still cover the eastern parts of the state. So again, an isolated strong to severe storm can't be ruled out. But by far and away, the better chances for severe weather will be down to our east and to our southeast. Pretty wide area of slight risk extending from Chicago to St. Louis, and then over kind of towards Kansas City and far eastern parts of Kansas, where they could see some scattered strong to severe thunderstorms on Thursday. And then on Friday, again, there might be a general rumble of thunder out there, but no severe weather expected across the 10-11 coverage area. If we look at the 7-day precipitation potential, again, you can kind of see across the south and the southwest, California, again, really west of the Rockies, not much precipitation expected as we head over the course of the next 7 days. And you'll notice, again, in sort of the middle parts of the country, the northern plains, down through the Great Lakes, into the Ohio Valley, the Midwest, that could see some decent moisture over the next 7 days. For Nebraska, again, it's far eastern, southeastern Nebraska that we think the best chances for thunderstorms and the best chances for some heavier rain will be as we head over the course of the next 7 days. Past our chance tonight, again, things get pretty spotty in terms of rain chances and potential rainfall amounts over the course of the next week. So high temperatures today, like I mentioned, going to be warming things back up. In Lincoln, we're going to go upper 80s, 88 for a high. That's right where we should be for this time of year. Could be a few low 90s from Hebron over to Beatrice, even Falls City. Wouldn't be surprised if they touch the low 90s. Otherwise, most of the 10-11 coverage area is going to again see those highs in the middle to upper 80s by Wednesday afternoon. Thursday morning, it's upper 50s to upper 60s from west to east across the state. Thursday afternoon, again, maybe a touch cooler in some spots, but still generally looking at fairly seasonal temperatures across the state. Low 80s to right around the 90-degree mark, kind of from north to south across the state. In Lincoln, 87 for a high on Thursday into Friday morning. Again, it's mid-50s to mid-60s, so just a touch cooler to start Friday morning. By Friday afternoon, again, we're basically doing the same thing with highs generally in the mid to upper 80s to right around 90 degrees across the state. So again, those seasonal temperatures finally do return. A national look at forecast highs today. Again, you can see 80s, 90s, and triple digits kind of from Nebraska down towards Texas. A little bit cooler across the northern plains. Highs generally into the 80s as you head across the Great Lakes into the northeast. 70s, 80s, 90s, and even some triple digits across the western sections of the country. On Thursday, kind of more the same story, a different verse. We'll look for those 90s and triple digits across parts of Oklahoma into Texas, down into the southwest as well. Phoenix around 111 for the day on Thursday. But again, as they always say there, it is a dry heat. But again, it is a lot of heat. And then on Friday to finish the work week, again, more of the same. The hottest part of the country is going to be the southern plains as well as the desert southwest, with cooler conditions again across the Great Lakes into New England. But again, still around 90 for D.C. On Friday. Saturday to start the weekend, again, basically the same thing. A little bit cooler across the Great Lakes, but the middle and southern parts of that country dealing with those 90s in triple digits. The extended forecast for Lincoln looks like this, and again, you can see it's kind of a copy and paste forecast in terms of temperatures as we head over the course of the next week. Mid to upper 80s between now and really through the weekend and into early next week. Again, our best chance for rain is going to be this evening, Wednesday evening, and again, for Lincoln specifically, I think probably between about 6 p.m. and 10 p.m. is when we have that window of opportunity to see some of those thunderstorms, and then that chance, again, will go down as we head through the overnight hours tonight. Small chance on Thursday. Again, I think there's a small chance on Friday, mainly more for the central sections of the state. And then we're going to continue to keep some of those low-end 20% chances in the forecast as we head through the weekend and into early next week. 10-day forecast for cities across the state. Again, you can basically see there's not a lot of variability in the forecast as we head over the next week to 10 days. Mid to upper 80s to right around 90 degrees is going to be the going forecast for the next week or so. So again, this is fairly typical mid to late August. Again, the week we just got done with, when we had those highs in the 70s and again right around 80 degrees, that was not typical, but again much more typical for us as we head over the course of the next week to 10 days. Extended outlook, 8 to 14 day temperature outlook. This takes us August 21st through the 27th. Better than average odds. It's seeing continued above average temperatures across much of the area, again especially as you head further to the south where they have very high odds at above average conditions. And then as far as precipitation is concerned, slightly worse than normal odds to see below average precipitation from that August 21st through August 27th timeline. So that is something we'll continue to keep an eye on as we head over the course of the next several days, that long-range outlook, as we get ready to at least kind of glimpse towards the end of August. But again, today the headline is going to be, again, some of the warmer temperatures that we're going to be expecting across the area today, and those thunderstorm chances tonight. Again, large hail, damaging winds, isolated tornadoes, torrential rain going to be possible across the southeastern corner of the state. So again, make sure you keep it tuned to 1011, both on air and online, for all that information. Again, that 1011 weather app, always a great resource. Again, always try and keep that up to date, keep folks up to date with what the weather could be doing and if it's going to potentially impact your area. So appreciate everyone for tuning in and watching. As always, again, this is our daily segment, daily forecast update, right around 9 o'clock every morning. So hopefully you can join us again moving forward. So like I said, keep it tuned to 1011, both on air and online today for all of your latest news, weather, and sports. And until next time, I hope everyone has a nice Wednesday.